What's going on, everyone? This is Stephen Place with Insiders Exposed, and today I'm excited to share with you a brand new opportunity that we found in the electric vehicle space. For those of you that don't know, it's not just Tesla that's out there. There's a lot of other massive opportunities that I think are primed and ready to go into next year. These EV stocks can be great traders. They have a ton of liquidity. They exhibit a lot of momentum. So when they get going, they really get going. And we found one that fits all the criteria. And we did find a good amount of insiders picking up the stock. So what I want to do first is show you the key statistics for Tesla. Now, Tesla is, again, it's an EV stock. It's a great trader. It's one of the strongest stocks we've ever seen. The issue is it's $1 trillion company, right? So it's difficult for a stock to go from 100 billion to a trillion, to 10x that. It's even harder to go from, a trillion to 10 trillion. Now, I think I remember saying this about Apple about 10 years ago, where I'm like, oh, Apple hit $100 billion market cap. Obviously, that's going to make it really hard for it to go to a trillion, and then it goes to a trillion. So I'm not discounting the fact that Tesla does have potentially more upside. What I'm saying here is that there are a lot of other components underneath the surface that allow you to get those 10x returns without a whole lot of volatility right now. So one thing that a lot of folks do with Apple is that they, as soon as the new iPhone's released, all the hedge funds will go out and buy one, and then they'll break it apart. And they'll look at what chipsets and what components inside the iPhone are being used, and then they go buy those stocks, right? So a good example from I'm dating myself with the trading here, but when the glass for a phone really started to get going, you had Corning, GLW, which had Gorilla Glass, and that had some nice momentum. We had I think it was Cypress Semiconductor had a chipset in Apple, Cirrus had a chipset in Apple, and all of those names just went on massive tears higher because those things were introduced into the ecosystem, the Apple iPhone ecosystem. So the EV ecosystem is not related to a single company. It's much, much larger, and there's a lot of things going on. So this is a chart that it's attributed to Joey Zune on Twitter. And a lot of these are older tickers. So we've had a lot of Spacks, special purpose acquisition companies, come on board. And when a company goes through a definitive agreement, they will eventually change the ticker. As an example, Lucid Motors was originally Churchill Capital, CCIV, and it turned into LCID. Okay, but you've got a pretty good idea of what's going on here. You've got electric vehicle manufacturers, and there's a lot of them out there. You've got Chinese electric vehicle manufacturers. You've got everything else associated with it. Who's going to make the battery, right? Who's going to make the charging station? If we go into autonomous vehicles, who's going to make the telemetry for those? Who's going to provide the lithium for these batteries? So all of these things can really start to come into play. And many of these names had massive runs at the beginning of 2021. That was a huge bull market for these names, where from January to March, some of these were just running. They're high flyers, 10x kinds of names. A lot of them, after that momentum wore off, they've come back down to earth, and they offer, in my opinion, very good buying opportunities. Now, you don't want to just throw all your money into a bunch of random stocks. You do want some kind of a selection process. A lot of people look at, technicals or fundamentals or everything. And what we do at Insiders Exposed is we look at which insiders are putting their money to work, which ones are showing conviction, how many insiders are showing up at the same time. And we use that to coalesce a theory around that, and that gives us a good buy opportunity. So one of these names just had 6 insiders purchase stock in the same week. And what's nice about this is an old SPAC. All right. And when you see a SPAC, normally people who are running the show get shares allocated to them already. All right. So they've already got a massive amount of skin in the game. And when we see them adding to their positions after they already have a huge chunk of shares, it shows conviction, right? So we had someone who didn't make a massive percentage increase on their position, but it was the first time that they bought after the SPAC and the DA and everything else. We also had, I think it was a CFO and 4 directors pick it up at the same time. This is a name that if we see a push back to the upper end of the range, we're looking at a 50% gain on the stock. All right, and then more on the options if you choose to use leverage. And then if it comes back and it really starts to move, we really start to see some momentum to the upside, it's going to be much, much more than that. That's the profit potential we have on this, okay? So if you would like to get access to how we put our trades together inside of Insiders Exposed, the filters we look for, and if you do want to become a member, get access to our portfolio and all of our trade alerts, there is a webinar below this video that you can get access to. Enter your name, email, and your phone number that can receive SMS messages to let you know when we go live. And from there, you can see exactly what we do, why we do it, why it's so powerful, the kinds of returns you could potentially get, and how to sign up and become a client at Insiders Exposed. That's all I've got for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the flip side. Take care.